Let's see here. Figuring all this out. This will be the. Let's see. Cool. We got some people in here. It took a little bit for me to. I scheduled the live, and then for some reason it wouldn't let me actually enter the live. So give it a second. Let some people come in here. You guys watch my other video on my main channel. Hey, what's up, Sean? Sen? Where are you guys all from? Hold on one second. Cool. Hold on. You guys hear from here? Can you hear this? Let's see. Oh, cool. Perfect. Okay, great. Awesome. Give me a second. Let me hook this up to my shirt and we can begin this. We are stepping into absolutely insane times. We've all kind of seen what's been going on with the news. They're talking about, if we look at everything closely, the pipeline hacks, they say, with JBS, then Colonial Pipeline, JBS is the food distributor, and now real estate. They're basically going to use this current situation as a way to segue us into climate. And this climate situation that we're going to see that's going to impact us for real estate is going to be unlike anything that most people can imagine. Joe Biden, he is talking about changing the way that we receive energy through our homes. So when we think of energy, oil, gas, like the main fossil fuels, people think maybe just stove. No, all electricity, everything into your house. So they would essentially need for you to rebuild your properties. So for the smaller structures, single family homes, it might be easier for some of these private equity firms to bring those up to code, but I don't think they're even going to have to do that. I think what they're going to do is use these carbon offsets where they essentially buy in to these quote unquote companies as a fully tax deductible investment. So they're going to deploy all of these, useless dollars into American land so they can spend 20, 30, 50% above what everyone else can afford to pay to go ahead and take over these properties. It's pure insanity. It's crazy. And most people don't see it. Most people think, okay, well, it's for the environment, or, we should eat less meat and this is a good thing. Well, people that are on fixed incomes right now, this is going to be interesting because what they're doing for a number of reasons, they are basically devaluating the dollar. So it's going to cost more money. We've all heard of like shrinkflation, where you go to Chipotle now and you get a burrito that's like 2/3 the size of what it was before. And it costs you 30 to 40 cents more. If you go get a burrito that's like fully blown out, it's like $12 now just for a little burrito. That's happening across the board with all produce, with food. That's what they're going to do. So the people on fixed income are going to be in really big trouble. So I'm paying attention more so to the people that are going to get hit on fixed income, the 59 million people that are on welfare, and all the people that currently don't want to work or that are unemployed, that are basically dependent on Big Brother right now. They're building out this huge ecosystem of dependence and forced dependence on the people. And so as they continue to push this narrative, what we're ultimately going to see is that renter nation thing unfold. And when that happens and people don't have an option but to rent, then essentially they become property of the state. And that's what they're trying to push. They're trying to push this insane agenda right now across real estate, across employment. We all heard the whole thing where, the hospital, for example, in I forget which state, all the nurses had to comply with something. And if they didn't, they would lose their job. What do you think will happen with real estate? You think that if it's Big Brother funded or Big Brother backed, that there's not going to be some type of requirement for everyone's safety for you to take over maybe in an apartment building or inside of a certain community? We're going to start to see some things that we would never imagine possible. And it's all going to happen, I believe, starting very soon. If I had to make a prediction, the prediction would be that as interest rates rise and buyers' purchasing power starts to drop, at that same point in time, it would be a really good move for them to also let the eviction moratoriums expire, as well as the forbearance, build out panic in the market, hurt people's ability to actually go out there and purchase a property, and then set in the full green agenda. And that at that point will basically give them full dominance and control over probably 200 plus million, 250 million people in the country. We have 325 million people. So they basically would own a large chunk of it. It's going to be quite fascinating to see all this happen. That's why right now you're hearing people talk about meme stocks like GameStop and going out there buying like AMC or buying Dogecoin. Or everything is so hot right now across meme stocks and real estate. Everyone's making a fortune. It's generally in times like these that we have to take a step back, because these things don't last for a while. They generally go up. Right now, everybody's invested. That kind of says something. You hop on an Uber, the guy's telling you to buy Dogecoin. That's a sign that we're kind of in a bubble. They're printing so much money. When this thing comes to a head and it ends, the people that are sitting in cash are going to be doing well, because they're going to be able to go out there and deploy their capital into a market that's full of blood. The old saying is true. You invest when there's blood in the street. That's why JP Morgan is sitting on $500 billion in cash. Buffett, all these people are just sitting in so much money that, it is what it is. So I heard someone say right here, John said, "Make America Florida." I'm in Florida. I was in LA since 2005, 2006. That state, I was talking to my wife about it. If there was one love that broke my heart, it was California, because I went there to pursue all my dreams. Everything was working out beautifully. And then Newsom got into office. He basically destroyed the state. If you're a landlord out there, forget about it. There's very little power you have over your property. And I feel like that situation in California is something that's going to roll throughout the country if this continues. In California, for example, just to paint the picture clearly for all the people that are thinking about investing in real estate right now, there are good deals out there. You just have to be very educated. It's harder to find a great deal today than it was 5 years ago. But what is happening in California, for example, if you have a tenant, let's say that someone rented an apartment from me for $2,000 a month in March of 2020. As of right now, that person would probably owe me 20 grand. No, probably closer to 30,000 just in back rent, right? But all they have to pay is $500 a month. They just have to pay 25% per month, but yet I still have to I have to maintain the property, to pay property taxes, I have to pay the water bill, most likely. I have to pay all these expenses, so I'm bleeding out the whole time. And then on top of that, at the end, they get free representation. So they'll be able to call BASTA or Public Counsel or one of these networks and get free representation. Meanwhile, the court system's backed up for 12 to 18 months. So they're going to stay in that unit for 3 years at $2,000 a month. And at the end, I might be out $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 when you factor in for attorney's fees, because the attorney fees are probably $250, $300 an hour. So that is the state of California right now, of being a landlord in California. Same thing in New York. And so they're trying to roll out this situation to where it makes more sense for people just to rent and not go through that headache. They're trying to break the spirit of capitalism in America, and it's sickening. It's absolutely disgusting. So I'm hoping that people kind of wake up to this and understand where they're trying to take things. But, for me, I'm extra cautious right now. I'm very, very cautious. I'm very much into freedom. I love capitalism, as I mentioned. I'm getting my private pilot license. I'm going to get a little plane because I think they're going to really try to cramp down on us. So if you have a little plane, you're mobile, you have the ability to move around. I think that's going to mean something. Yeah, the whole country be anti-landlord. Yeah, I have an 18-month-old son. I wouldn't put one of those coverings on my little 18-month-old son. He's so small. I feel like that's like child cruelty. So I won't do that to him. And we have another baby on the way. So I'm not going to play that game at the airports. So domestically, we're going to try to travel, by plane. Ideally, I'll get my pilot's license sometimes end of July. I have I have 14 hours in, but I have to hit 40 hours required time. So generally, you have to go over like 50 to 60 hours. So probably by the end of July, I'm flying 5 days a week. By the end of July, I'll have my pilot's license. And I'll actually be filming a lot of content. I'm going to be flying around, meeting up with other entrepreneurs, figuring out how are they making smart investments? What are they going to do with their money underneath a Joe Biden presidency? Because a lot of people are figuring out what can we do to shelter our capital. He's going after unrealized capital. He's going after everything, the 1031 exchange. So I'm going to use that plane also to network and meet up with really smart people to see if they can give us some insight. So consider subscribing to this channel because I will be going live with them, doing podcasts, flying around with them, and doing some really cool stuff. It'll be a little bit different than my This is John Williams channel. That channel is going to be based on more current events, talking about real estate, business, and money. This channel will be personal, and it will be exactly what I'm doing with my family. So this is my first live. I just wanted to hop on here, say what's up to you guys. And we're about to do some really, really big things. Do you know about Rose, of course? She has broken down all this of what her... No, I don't know who that is. Quality of the vids just went up. Thank you. Do you have a plan outside of YouTube in case... honestly, anything can happen in this world. We've all kind of learned that over the last 12 months. Anything can happen. So I'm just being myself, putting out content that I personally would watch. And, I'm going to take it from there. Let me find we'll make sure the link is, it's a good link. Let's see here. Do some aerial shots of the plane. Oh, definitely. I was looking at a Piper Saratoga last week. I looked at a SR20. And now I'm going to look at a Cessna 182. I'm kind of just learning and going all around the place, looking at different planes. So if anyone has any plane suggestions, then definitely shoot them here. She's been trying to wake people up. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even go down that road. Definitely not here anyway. I would be just focused on the most important things, which are, your family and just putting out value, like just being a good value. Online, it's just going to be so challenging. So I wouldn't even go down that road. Focus on, especially right now, money, making good investments and just shielding yourself from the hell that is going to, I think, over the next probably 1 to 2 years. Joe, what they're talking about doing is they're literally talking about fining people, issuing fine if they don't comply. In New York, they're talking about doing that. Issuing you a fine based on how much energy you use and increasing that fine by like 5% a year. So they're basically just going to keep basically hammering away at people that don't comply. So they're building out a system where only corporations are going to be able to survive. So let's see here. She's she did. But yeah, I just want to hop on here. It was my first live. I'm going to be live here again, and consider subscribing here. And I'm going to probably hop back on. I might do these probably 2-3 times a week, but I'm going to do these lives for like 1 hour at a time. So this is just kind of like an intro live because I had a difficult time entering the first live. Are you guys interested in what do you guys do for work? I'm kind of curious. Where do you guys see the biggest potential for money-making opportunities in the next couple of years? Bitcoin will go back up. My big fears, I think what Bitcoin represents is freedom. It represents freedom, putting the hands back, or the power back in the hands of the people. The big problem that I have with Bitcoin right now is that the big brother essentially is using Bitcoin as a way to say that they're using more energy mining Bitcoin than small countries. So I think there's a very good chance that they try to use some type of angle towards Bitcoin and certain cryptocurrencies to regulate it. And that's what I think that they're going to likely try to do. Ray Dalio is very bullish on Bitcoin, but then a few weeks later, he came out and said that he thinks that Big Brother will come regulate Bitcoin if it gets too big. So I think that Bitcoin will get much bigger, and I think it's only a matter of time until they try to do something. A cyber attack also could be a potential if, for whatever reason, the internet went down. I mean, this isn't like a crazy theory. World Economic Forum is talking a lot about this. They're saying they're literally preparing for a cyber attack. They're meeting early July, so in 2 weeks, for an event to where what would they do in the event that we lost all power? And then what's crazy is that at that same event, we look at event 201 that happened 4 months before the major shutdown in America. They were preparing for a crazy situation like that. They're preparing for a pandemic. Well, now they're preparing for a situation where we'd all lose power. They were talking about no access to banking, no access to really any type of service, no cell phone, no internet, no nothing. That's what they're planning for in this thing called Cyber Polygon. You guys can go on World Economic Forum and look at the website. So you guys can just read it directly from them. This is kind of the stuff that they're saying. So really, really fascinating. Yeah, Janet Yellen, she wants to increase there's going to be a lot of change that I think is going to hit all markets. So my advice to everybody is be very careful about being way too heavy in a certain potential meme coin or potential crypto, because things can change very quickly. And just because things were good in the past does not mean that they will be good in the future. Yeah, he has a really good channel as well. Interior designer. Yeah, interior design is really good, especially right now. A lot of people are just spending a lot of money redoing their properties right now. I'm so sad about what's happening in California. Stand by the governor. What he's done. Yeah, California. It's a shame. It really is a shame. I had such massive ambitions for California, but now I won't buy any property there unless the deal was like 70 cents on the dollar. I won't buy it because the landlords literally have no freedom over their properties, like literally none. I had one tenant that I rightfully evicted, and I paid over $20,000 for the move out of the tenant, and then later came back to me like wanting more money. That is California. If it was in Texas, if it was in Florida, it would have been that would never have flown. But California, the problem with California is what's going to happen is these shutdowns, the eviction moratoriums, all these people running in financial distress, and now Gavin Newsom signing that SB 1079 into law. What he's going to do is he's building out a moat of dependence. He's going to likely try to change rent control and change the laws for landlords to make it much more tenant friendly, if that's even possible, which would then make it even more of a struggle and even more of a challenge for landlords to maintain, operate, and control their buildings. Thing of sound mind is always price moving forward. Home inspector, that's cool. Prince Charles, are you going to change your home in Florida to? I'm in an Airbnb, so I don't own a property right now in Florida. We were going to buy in this little pocket, but property prices increased 30% in the last 12, 14 months. 30% in this pocket, little beach community. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So I'm going to probably rent, and when things come down, which I think inevitably they're going to increase those interest rates. When that happens, you're going to start to see values follow purchasing power, because buyers are then going to be able to only afford less. I just got into the chat. Tell me again exactly what Biden is trying to do with home ownership. So what's up, Logic? So what he's doing is he's running a whole new green deal. He like this green energy plan. So he's saying that all American households need to essentially upgrade their heating, air, filtration systems, their gas stoves. They want everything on clean energy, everything. And if you don't, then you're going to get fines. Well, in New York, for example, they're issuing fines to people. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to be pushing this initiative because they're saying a large chunk of our emissions are coming from people not having this. So that's the agenda and the way that they're pursuing this right now. He just came out with this 2 days ago. It's insanity. It's just crazy. And Gavin Newsom's pushing the same thing. He says California by 2035, so in 13 and a half years, is going to have zero carbon footprint. Zero. How is that possible? When commercial real estate right now controls 40% of California's carbon footprint, apparently. So they're going to bring the entire carbon footprint of California from 40 to zero. He's also saying that there'll be no gas vehicles sold in California by 2035. So all this is unfolding at the same time. We have to ask ourselves, what would happen? How would they achieve such a goal? Something radical would have to happen. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen unless it's going to be done by sheer force, which is my fear. Sup, John? We were waiting on our first home. We're thinking about moving. Boise, Idaho. Some suggestions that I would have if you're buying a home, for example, for your husband or for your wife, and I would suggest if you're going to buy a single family or a residential property, I would buy 3 units or 4 units just so you can lock in 30-year fixed rate debt at these low levels. And if you end up losing your job or they end up pursuing you and taxes increase and it gets harder to survive, at least you'll have a few units that you can rent out and drive some cash into your pockets. Because I think cash flow is going to be king in the future, even right now. So play the long game. I wouldn't invest into living luxury like buying a single family home right now. Manufacturing pen. Let's see here. The best way to use 10K right now, the sad thing is that 10K a couple of years ago was actually a decent amount of money. I think the best thing that we could all be doing right now is studying and learning and preparing for what the future is going to be like and making calculated and educated decisions today into our education so that way we can prosper then. I think one of the big mistakes people are doing right now is they're starting businesses and doing things that worked in the past, thinking that they're going to work in the future. So I think starting on YouTube is important. Starting an online business is important. Figuring out a way to make money from home is important, because if we go back into a period where they start shutting us back down again, which is likely, Singapore just went back into shutdown last week. Canada's horrible. Australia's bad. This is likely going to continue again. If it does, you want to make sure you're going to have cash flow, adequate cash flow coming in to your accounts. So I would use that 10K to figure out a way to where you can make 50K, 100K, start pulling in 10K a month from home. Thank you so much, Stars. I appreciate that. What about that? I think credit card debt, when they jack up interest rates, the interest rate of your credit card is going to go up as well. Interest on your car loan is going to go up. Student loans, everything is going to be going up. So I would be on the chase right now to get out of debt. So if you have 10K and you have 7 or 8K in credit cards that you're paying 26%, dump the 10K, spend 7 of it there, because no matter what investment you get, it's going to be unlikely you're going to get above a 26% return on your capital. So invest it there. I know we want driving the climate, whole sustainability. I would take the 10K and I'd probably just sit on it and spend it in your education. As I mentioned, I would be really careful with that money. I'd be real careful with it, because you're going to likely have a storm ahead. That's what I'm banking on. I think we're going to have some big problems next 6 to 12 months. What do you guys think? I'm talking to a lot of my friends that are really, really, they do really well financially, and they're thinking that we're going to have problems in the next 6 to 12 months. Florida's not going to shut down. It's the thing legislature did in 2021, outlawed mandated business shutdowns. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think DeSantis is I'm not sure if he's running again in like the next 4 or 5 months, or if somebody else is going to be coming in replacing him, or if he's going to have someone else come in. I'm not sure, but I wasn't sure. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, that he's not going to be running in the next few months. I think he wanted to run as president for 2024, but who knows? Would you move to where you can afford? Dumb question, I know. No, it's not a dumb. There's no dumb question. I think the dumbest question is asking a question or being afraid to ask a question that you want the answer to. I think the number one thing right now is to cut all I mean all liabilities. So anything that you have to pay, anything that you can possibly cut. If you can reduce your living expenses to save more money to get ready, I would do that. I wouldn't live above your means right now. I think that living above your means is a bad situation to be in. I mean, I see people right now that are like 70, 80% into crypto. I had a I had a couple friends that just sold a lot of crypto and made a fortune, but they sold in the 50s. And they think that the market's going to dump, and when it does, they're going to go back in. But they have a great track record of making a hell of a lot of money in that space. What do you think about the stock market now? You look at the stock market from say 2008 to now. I think it went down to like 8,000. Now we're 34,000. I think that it's more likely that we have downside in front of us than continuation of an upside. Yeah, gold is good. I mean, Sam Zell, for example, his company Equity Residential owns. They're number 3, owning the most apartments in America, and he was very bearish against gold for a long time, and now he's going all in on gold. So it's interesting to see how people change their investing strategy based upon where things are going. Warren Buffett, for example, said Bitcoin is horrible. Bitcoin's horrible, but he also invested in a digital bank based in Brazil and spent not much money for him, like 500 million. So people that are so focused in one direction are now changing their strategies based on how the world's changing. When do you think, John? If I had to guess, pure prediction, I'd probably say flu season. That's what I would guess. I would say maybe October, September, something like that would make the most sense. Yeah, the problem with that 400-acre it was 450 acres, 386 were owned by the state, by Big Brother, and they had an easement to cross over my other 90 acres. So I'd essentially have no privacy. The point of buying land is to get away from Big Brother and have your own big plot of land. And since I was going to get I'm going to get a little airplane, and I was going to be able to land it there. Now that changes. So that is probably not going to happen, that specific parcel, but I am looking. I'm looking at a lot of different places. I'm looking in Tennessee. I'm looking in Georgia. I'm looking in Florida. I probably spend a half hour, 45 minutes every night looking, because I think it is a really good investment, especially if there's a natural water source on the property. According to Michael Burry, he says the number one investment right now is land in America with a natural water source. So you got to ask yourself why. Bill Gates is also buying up a lot of land with a lot of natural water sources as well. Warren Buffett's own, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Chain link, water rights. Yep. You just got to make sure that you have the full control over those water rights. That there's nothing that Big Brother can do in terms of control over that water. But yeah, I'm looking aggressively for a land. If you can get something, 50, 100 acres, kind of isolated with a natural water source, and you get it at a good price, maybe 2,000 an acre or $1,000 an acre, it's highly undervalued. The problem is going to then be the use that you have of that land outside of privacy and the water rights, because I think they're going to also be cracking down a lot more on farmers. I'm listening to a lot of people in the farming industry, and they're talking about all the regulations and all the changes that are coming to farming in the name of green energy and cutting down on carbon emissions. Would you ever consider a move out of the country? Yeah, I would definitely consider a move out of the country. 100% I would. In the future, it depends on where America really goes down a dark path. Our dollar goes a lot further in different countries than it does here. So for me, if I had a plane that had a max range of 1,000 miles, that could get me to several places in South America. There's other things. There's one guy on YouTube, he put something called like a ferry tank in his plane. He flew around the entire world in a Cessna 172, which is like a super small plane. He flew around the whole world. So there's many alternatives, many things you can do. What's up, Felix? Yeah, there's many things you can do with the plane. And Bill Gates wants synthetic beef. Yeah, if you look at his stake in Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat, even Jay-Z, he invested $250 million in a meat substitute company just today. $250 million. So that's where they're going to be pushing. They're going to be pushing really hard because apparently cow farts are ruining the world. What if those countries follow what we do? That's a very, very likely scenario. That's a very likely scenario. So at that point, like, what do we do? So I think the key is mainly exactly, Jason. The key is mainly having alternatives, having backup plans, having liquidity at hand, and being prepared for a worst case scenario. I think the bills. If we have no power, I think the last thing you have to worry about is bills. I think the first thing you have to worry about is people coming to your door when they run out of food and water and the ability to survive. They're going to be coming door to door. That's what the big fear is. There was a book I was reading, or like reading little clips on TikTok, and it was based around a scenario in the world where what the world would be like without power, and like within a couple days, it was like something out of a scary movie. So solar panels backed up by battery. Yeah, please everybody smash that like button. Also, again, subscribe here. I'm gonna be going live probably 2-3 times a week, talking about current events, also talking about how I'm investing. And again, the plane I get, the people I meet up with, the whole main purpose of that plane is to use it to meet with other people and to travel with my family and make investments. And my goal is to really leverage up like 100x off of that plane. And I'm going to share everything I learned on this channel. So I just wanted to hop on here, quick my first live here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Subscribe, smash that like button for me, and drop some comments in the comment below about what you guys want me to do another live on, and then the next live I'm going to plug in everyone's suggestions into one live, and we'll have a really good live, and I'll let everybody know. Also hit the notification bell so you can be notified of the next live. All right, guys, see you on the next one.